Okay, given that c equals root 50, d equals root 30, and e equals root 10, to simplify c to start with, okay? So in this case, c is root 50, and we need to simplify it, just like we did in the last question. We need to think of a pair of numbers that multiply to give 50. So it's different pairs, isn't there? You could do like 10 times 5, couldn't you? Yeah, or 50 times 1 even. But the pair that's going to work for us is actually 25 times 2. And the reason why I'm choosing this pair, if you think about it, that is a square number, isn't it? So in the pair that you choose, we need to have one of them to be a square number. And if you split it up using the rule we know, we can actually square root this. Square root of 25 is 5. And then the root 2, well, that's a surd. We can't do anything with that, but we have our answer then, 5 times root 2, which is just 5 root 2. So it's simplified because the number in the surd is a lot smaller than what we started with. With b, we've got to divide. d is root 30, e is root 10. So we're going to divide. Now remember, think back to the rule. When you're dividing, you can write it as one surd, one big surd, and divide inside. So 30 divided by 10 then is 3. Okay, so you've got root 3. With c then, d squared. So we've got to do root 30, and we've got to square it. Okay, root 30 squared. Now remember, we could do it the long way. You could write this as root 30 times root 30. And then you could put it as 30 times 30 inside a big root. And that turns out to be 900. And then when you square root 900, you get back to 30. Now you don't have to do this process. You can recognize straight away that the answer is 30 because of the process here. If you're square rooting 30 and then you're squaring it, it's sort of undoing the process of rooting, isn't it? Because these are opposite operations. So actually we're not doing anything to 30 if you end up square rooting it and squaring it. So the answer is just this here, and you can write it down straight away, okay? You don't have to go through this process. Nextly then we've got e cubed, so that will be root 10 for e. It says e is root 10 cubed, so that means you times it by itself again. Now remember what we saw, we look for pairs. Root 10 times root 10 is just going to be 10, yeah? Because you're just squaring root 10. It's undoing the process of square rooting. So you're just left with the number 10 and then times root 10. So to sort of write this nicely then, you've got 10 root 10. Lastly then, e to the power 5. Well, e, we just seen e is root 10, yeah? So if it's to the power 5, I got to times it by itself 5 times. And in this case, if I'm timesing by itself 5 times, again we look for pairs. That pair there just becomes 10. Okay, because it's squaring root 10. This pair here becomes 10. Always look for pairs. And then we're multiplying them. Now at the end we've got a single one. So if you've got a single one, you just leave that as root 10. So then you simplify this and you just work it out. 10 times 10 is 100 times root 10. It becomes 100 root 10. So there's the simplified version then of e to the power 5.